Now, really, let's continue that theme of West Africa. Nigeria is looking for an international bank and a local lender to act as co-arrangers for a depository note worth $491 million that will be issued this year. In a notice, that country's debt management office said it had appointed a sole depository bank and an arranger for the offering, but it didn't name them. A source at the debt office, however, told Reuters that Nigeria had mandated Citibank to act as the depository bank. Bids for co-arrangers are due on the 3rd of October. Nigeria is increasing the amount it borrows from international markets to about 40% of its entire debt load over the next 3 to 5 years, from 12% at present, as it chases lower funding costs. Now, the Debt Management Office said the depository note will be documented under American rules, but it will be listed in Europe. At the same time, Dangote Industries has clinched a $3.3 billion syndicated loan from banks to build a 400,000 barrel per day oil refinery and a petrochemical plant. Standard Chartered and Nigeria's Guaranteed Trust Bank, or GT Bank as it's better known, led the loan deal, which also involved 2 South African and 8 other Nigerian banks. Dangote Group, the umbrella company of Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, is also seeking another $2.25 billion from development funds for the $9 billion project, into which it will sink $3.5 billion of its own cash as equity. Now, aside from enabling Nigeria to produce its own refined petroleum products, remember this is Africa's biggest crude producer, the project also aims to cut the reliance of African economies at the moment on international markets for fertilizer. The company expects the refinery to be completed in around 2016. Now, a decade has passed since African countries sat down and agreed to spend 10% of their national budgets every single year on agriculture, the idea being to end food insecurity and become self-sufficient. 10 years later, however, Africa as a whole is a net food importer, and many African states have made little progress in implementing the Maputo Declaration. 10 years later, CCTV's Angelo Coppola is back where that agreement was struck in the Mozambican city of Maputo.
Mozambique's Prime Minister Alberto Vaquina spoke to delegates attending a forum put together by the Alliance, urging them to find ways to assist smallholder farmers, the engine room of Africa's agricultural sector.
Focus the discussions and approaches on business models that will look at inclusive growth and to encourage domestic and international investors to invest in agriculture.
While the Prime Minister called for a new focus, there is still a large mismatch between continental government policies and the amount spent on importing food.
The amount of forex being used by African governments on the food import bill, on basic commodities that we could grow ourselves, be it maize, rice, wheat, is embarrassing. If governments were to save even half of that, you'd start seeing their Greek GDP curve grow very fast.
Some believe that part of the solution to rebalancing these trade deficits is to provide access to financing for smallholder farmers.
The different sources of finance which are out there, and microfinance, I'll mention it again, and I mention it always, is a neglected area. Most of the microfinance players within the rural areas are informal or semi-formal, and there are a lot of hindrances to their activities. We are not looking at this sector fully to try and understand how best we can support them.
Smallholder farmer capacity building has to be addressed as they face challenges like access to finance. Because if they continue operating in the same way, continental food security will become an even bigger problem. Quality, affordable, staple food is a basic human right, and if this forum gets it right, these small-scale farmers will have the tools to do what they do best. But it's going to require real partnerships along the entire food value chain. I'm Angelo Coppola for CCTV in Maputo, Mozambique.
Now, still at the Agri Forum, the African Union has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa to strengthen the existing partnership. If implemented to the letter, that MOU should see more African countries increase funding to their agricultural sectors.
And the reason for this is that it's a key partner in implementation of some of our areas which we believe can drive the continental agenda. The key drivers, the seeds, the inputs for the farmer. Agra is doing that. So we want to see what Agra can do on the behalf of the farmer, on behalf of us, because for us, we are the Africans. So Agra is supporting the African agenda. So partnership is so key for us. It's not only Agra we have an MOU with, we have MOUs with a number of partners, institutions and organizations which do some work in agriculture on the continent.
And that's your snapshot of African business at this hour. We'll have a bigger fix for you at 1700 GMT. Right now, though, the sport with Penina.